So what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to yet another tier maker tier list video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the top 18 or the ranking of all 18 Danganronpa trials. So if you guys didn't know, I'm a pretty big Danganronpa fan. Played all the games. I actually finished V3 semi recently, so it's pretty fresh in my mind, so hopefully that's gonna help a lot with ranking these. So first of all, before I want to start off ranking them, I want to quickly mention that I'm going to be splitting these opinions within 3 parts. So when I'm going to be talking about a trial, I'm going to be talking about the first thing, which is going to be what led to the trial, so what led to the killing. So what is going to be the reason that led to the killing. What is the entire scenario, how is it laid out, how is it premeditated, etc. The second part is going to be the progression of the trial. So how goes the trial, how was more information leaked within the trial, how it just went overall, you know what I mean? And then the third part is going to be talking about the ending, which is going to be the motive that is always revealed at the ending of the trial, and the execution. So hopefully that gives you guys some insight on how this is going to be rated for the most part. I kept the tier list as it is, so S, A, B, C, and D. I'm assuming S is only going to contain 2 or 3 trials. That's what I'm going to say right away. So yeah. I also ordered the trials to be per case 1. As in we're doing case 1 first, which is going to be all trials from case 1 from each of the games. So first off, we're going to be going through the first case of Danganronpa 1, then the first case of Danganronpa 2, and then the first case of Danganronpa V3, second case of Danganronpa 1, you get the point. So, I think we should start. Let's start off with probably one of the weakest points in the entire trials that we have laid out here, but still alright. So, we have the Leon trial, or the first Danganronpa trial in the entire fucking series. What do I think of this trial? I think it's, I'm gonna put it mid-C tier. I'm just gonna drop it in C tier for now. It's a decent trial. You can clearly see that they were trying to introduce everyone to trials and how they work, to investigation, all that good stuff. But it just falls short a lot of times. It's simple to a fault. You know what I mean? And definitely if you compare this to the Mondo trial, which we'll get to later, but it's just so simplistic and so uninteresting. It's not bad per se, and that's why I'm putting it in C tier, not in D tier, but there's just not something that really grabs my attention. So first of all, what happens is Sayaka is trying to kill Leon, but Leon pulled the reverse card on her, and he killed her. Basically, just weird circumstances that led to the killing. It was not even all that premeditated. From Sayaka's part it was, but from Leon's part it was not. And then finding Sayaka with Leon being written on the wall was also kind of they were just trying to introduce you. It was more so, the concept of the trial was more so trying to make people understand how you're supposed to convince other people on your opinions, or convince other people from the things you found. So, even if you have the perfect evidence, even if you know who it is, it's not clear enough evidence to make a case. So that's what the game is trying to really explain to you in the beginning part, in the first trial, so that's a good thing. Second part was the course of the trial, and that's exactly what I was just talking about. It was just kind of leading you through it. You know, it was not difficult. You knew the answer. You knew most of the answers already. It was such an easy trial that it's I don't know, there was nothing really twist about it. And that's the thing. There's no real twist. Most of the stuff that you knew about it, you already could pretty much figure out on your own during the trial. I don't know. You didn't know, well, if you didn't know that on the wall it was written Leon, yeah, okay. But besides that, I don't know, just a really easy trial. And then the third point is the motive. Again, motive was just different circumstances, man. It was just happenstance. That's really all it was. So it doesn't really make an interesting motive either. And the execution was okay. Like, I don't know, it was like the first of the executions. It wasn't like super amazing, but it definitely set the tone of like what this game is trying to accomplish with the tone. So I think in that way it did a good job. But for now, I'm not going to put it higher than C tier. Next up is the Teru Teru case. So this case is a lot better, I would say. This case is a lot better than the DR1s. Because this trial is actually pretty damn difficult. Like, well, in trying to understand who did it. Like, once you put certain pieces together, it makes a lot of sense. But overall, like, with the amount of, like, stuff thrown through there, being like, oh, well, Nagato did some shit and some flack was thrown at him, you know, so you learned about him a lot. That's another good part about this trial. I don't know, I think I'm going to put it for now in B tier, like high B tier, maybe mid B tier. So first of all, this trial, how it like happened is basically Teru Teru managed to stab Byakuya, or fake Byakuya, you know what I mean, through the floorboards. So that was fun. But like some shit went down with like the power went out, stuff like that. It wasn't a good time. And it wasn't quite clear who the killer was, because Nagito is the one who made everything like premeditated and like set everything up, while Teru Teru is the actual killer. It's very interesting, it's very cool, and it throws you off in so many perspectives. It's crazy. So that was amazing about like the investigation part already, because it didn't make a whole lot of sense. It really didn't. Like when you found out what the killer weapon was, yeah, okay, but besides that, I don't know, it's a really interesting but still very confusing trial at first. Still easy, but not that bad. The trial itself, yeah, finding out like what Nagito's intentions were, what he was really trying to do, that was interesting. And then later focusing on Teru Teru and who the actual killer was. Yeah, very good trial, very good like starting trial for DR2 in my opinion. Definitely going from DR1, which was more of a like a tutorial game, whereas DR2 is like the real deal. That's what they made it feel like. I think that man, really good job. So, third part was the motive, which for Teru Teru, the motive was, I believe he wanted to go back to, what is it? He wanted to go back to the restaurant to his mother. Which, spoiler alert, I think it was actually found out or something. No, never mind. I think that might be from something fan-made. I'm not sure. But yeah, like that was his entire intention. Like, sure, it was by accident because he meant to kill Nagito, who was going to kill Byakuya instead. But it was pretty much confirmed during the trial that Teru Teru had his own intentions of killing. That he had his own reasons to get out of her. So yeah. And then the execution was very elaborate. It was very unnecessary, I'm not gonna lie. Probably the most gruesome out of the entire game, surprisingly. DR2 doesn't have that many, like, very good executions. In comparison to DR1, no, it's not that bad, really. So yeah, that's Teru Teru's case. Then moving on to probably one of my all-time favorite trials. I'm gonna drop this in high A tier. I wouldn't consider it S tier just yet, but Kaede's trial, oh my god, this trial is so good. Like, first of all, the investigation, because in reality, the investigation already happened before the investigation time started. Because you already saw some of the things the killer had planned to do through the killer's eyes, because you're the killer. So that was so interesting, but it made it seem so well that you were not the killer, because you're never the killer. The main character's never the killer. It can't be. And that twist is so fucking good. In the investigation, like, you're seeing the entire setup and whatever, it makes a lot of sense once you start thinking about it during the trial. And that's the thing, you start thinking about it during the trial as Kaede, which is very interesting. I don't know, it's very strange, and that's what makes it good. And the trial itself, by the way, is just, oh my god, so many twists they throw in there. It's crazy. Like, and when you're trying to figure out who is the real killer, there's like what do you mean who's the real killer? I tried like 5 times when they first asked that on who the killer was. It was just going over random people, and I was like, no way, did they put it on Kaede? That's so good. Such a good twist. Did not expect that, and that's honestly what made this trial for me. That's really what made this trial so good. And then the character switch was which is the first time they did that. Actually, no, they did it in DR2 with Nagato and Hajime, but that was a different circumstance. But yeah, they never did this before, and I think it came as a surprise. Because honestly, we have been thinking about it in previous games, like what if we are the actual killer in this case, you know? And now we actually are, so, and it still throws us off guard. Insanely well done, amazing trial. And then the third part, which is the motive. The motive was trying to kill the mastermind, while in reality, Rentaro was not the mastermind, but hey, that's besides the point. She had good intentions, and that's kind of like a lot of the things during DR2 and DR3's cases, is a lot of them have very good intentions. Not counting things like Korekio or Mikan, but that's for later. But yeah, really solid trial, and the execution, but gruesome. So gruesome. But, I don't know, it really makes you feel the impact of that situation a lot, which I think it did very well. So, in that manner, yeah, amazing trial, amazing trial. Easy A tier. I might bump it up to S tier, but I'm not sure yet. Now we're moving on to the second cases. So, the Mondo trial, I'm gonna put this in A tier too. It's a good trial. This is like, I don't know, I don't want to say it's my favorite yet. I think it's a bit too fast, you know what I mean? But this trial, oh my god, the amount of twists they throw in there in comparison to what they did in the first trial with Leon, holy shit, what a step up. First of all, the investigation, which is very interesting because you're seeing Chihiro, who's the victim, being hung there, and it is so strange. It's such a strange thing to see at first, because you also start to learn about Genocide Jack, which happens to be an alter ego, what do you call it? Like, yeah, I think an alter ego is fine, of Toko, which you only find out during the trial, by the way, but it's pretty much clear that she's it. And the thing is, like, the setup in being tied up with strings, stuff like that, that was all something that Genocide Jack did a lot when she was killing back in the, like, serial murder times. So that's what made it seem like Toko was actually the killer during the trial, but during the investigation as well. But yeah, that was kind of weird. And then we move on to the trial, and you have so many fucking twists they throw in there, it's crazy. So first of all, it's like, I think they throw in the Toko sus first, right? Might be wrong. No, I think they do, yeah. I think they just immediately throw sus at Toko, because like she's Genocide Jack, etc., and it makes the most sense. And it was found out that it was actually premeditated by someone else, Byakuya. And then all the sus was thrown at Byakuya, and it was found out that he was actually not the killer. Then they had to investigate Chihiro's body, because it was apparently figured out that Chihiro is not a girl but a boy. Like, so many different twists they threw in there. And then at the end, apparently it was a very simple kill made by Mondo, but like by so many different circumstances thrown into it, you can throw everyone off like insanely well. It threw all of us off. As players, it threw everyone off. And in reality, it was really not that complicated of a murder. It was just, I don't know, with all the shit that went around it, it made it extremely hard. So, and then was found out that Mondo was the killer. Now moving on to the third point, which is Mondo's motive, which is really good. I could see some of his backstory with his brother and how that all went down. It was actually really sad. And a pretty good motive overall. Like, it was not like by accident like Leon was, but still really good. It was a really good like way of explaining why he decided to kill in the first place. Sure, it didn't make it right, but I don't know. It felt a bit more human, you know what I mean? Which I felt like the game didn't really feel like for the most part. And then this case with Mondo's motive, it made it feel very, very human-like. So yeah, think he's a great character. The execution is just weird, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Like him turning into butter. I don't know. You need, if you haven't watched that execution yet, check it out. It's kind of weird, but I don't know. I appreciate it nonetheless. Definitely A tier for me. Really good trial. Moving on to the second case from Danganronpa 2. We have the Peko case. Well, this is a C tier for me. Maybe low B tier, I don't know. Actually, it's definitely above Leon, though. Can I put it? There we go. It's definitely above Leon's case. Because there's actually shit going on here, because the thing leading up to the trial, which is the entire murder and how it was laid out and how the setup was made, it was actually super interesting, and it made it seem like it was a very complicated murder. First of all, throwing sus at, Fuyuhiko in the trial. Well, technically it was not Fuyuhiko. It was actually Pekoyama, who has quite the complex. Now, I think that immediately leads to her motive in a way, but during the trial, she gets kind of crazy. Well, she tries to protect Fuyuhiko, and that's why she killed Mahiru in that situation, because Fuyuhiko was about to kill Mahiru, actually, but Peko did the job instead. But there's another complex that's going on during there, and that's that Peko thinks that she is something justice. Divine justice, I don't know what it's called, but it's very strange. It's a very weird way of explaining her motive. It doesn't make sense. The entire game part, which I was thinking about before, I was going to mention that part about the game being connected towards this case. What had the game to do with this case? Like, it explains some of the things, maybe? I don't know, like, if it felt for the most part during the trial, it felt super unrelated. And it was like half of the trial they talked about this stupid game, and then it came down to the actual killer. And it was like, I don't know, what does this have to do with the game? It's like they just jammed it in there. Or what does this have to do with the trial? Why did they jam it? It feels like they just jammed that portion of the trial just in there to fill it up or some shit. I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. The after part about this trial is really good, actually, with Peko's feelings towards Fuyuhiko, and likewise. That was actually very sad and very touching. I like that part, and that honestly makes me want to put it in B tier, just for that. Even though the trial I thought was pretty garbage. I don't know. I'll keep it in C tier for now. I'll keep it in high C tier, but definitely not the best trial of DR2. DR2 has some really good trials, but this ain't it. Kirumi trial, this one is alright. I don't know, this one is not particularly phenomenal. I'm gonna put it above Terra. It's definitely a B tier for me. It's like a good middle ground. You know what? You know, one of those trials in every DR game that it's it's just okay. You know what I mean? It's not bad per se. It's just good. You know, and that's really what this trial felt like to me. And I think it was such a letdown in comparison to the previous trial being the Kaede one and the twist of you being the killer. So I don't know. It felt a bit too normal for me. The murder was actually really cool, and you could honestly figure it out yourself, and I think that's what made this murder in particular very interesting, because it's the entire concept is not all that far-fetched. Before the trial began, I had a general idea on how the murder happened. I had no idea who it did, or who murdered the victim, but I don't know. It was not particularly engaging though. The investigation, it was with Himiko's water tank and whatever, and I don't know. It was just trying to figure out what exactly killed him. I don't know, man. It's just very underwhelming. The trial is just generally very underwhelming whenever it comes to its twists, and that's really what fucks it up in my opinion. While it's nice that I can figure out myself how the trial or how the murder happened and how it was all premeditated and whatever. It's fun to figure that shit out, but there's no twist in it. The only twist that was in it was trying to figure out that Kirumi was actually the killer. That took me a while. because I completely forgot about like one part of it. I don't know, like that was like the only part about the trial that I thought was actually like surprising. But yeah, other than that, solid trial. Yeah, like the investigation wasn't super interesting. It was just regular ass investigation, I find. Finding out that that victim was killed in the bathroom in the pro tennis thingy, and then like via zipline carried over to the gym window in the water tank, and then getting eaten up by piranhas during the trick and whatever. That was cool, very cool, very well premeditated or whatever. And trying to figure that out was very fun. Yeah, I don't think it's a very innovative title or innovative trial. During the trial, same shit. It was just trying to figure all of that out, and then the motive, it made sense. Again, it's I don't know. Kurumi being apparently this like military part of like the, what do you call it? I don't know how you call it. Just surfing under the president, I believe is what it was. Yeah. It felt a bit too far-fetched, you know what I mean? And I guess that makes sense if you find out, like, or whenever you find out what this entire world is and that it's not actually in the real world, etc. But, I don't know, it felt a bit too far-fetched and a bit too crazy. I don't know, that's like my own issue with it. The execution was really good. I would say that V3 has some really good executions. Definitely very related to, like, the character that it's based off, so that's a good thing. Okay, so now we move over to the shit shows. Oh boy. Case 3 of DR1. This is the best out of the 3. And this gets a low B tier for me. I don't know. I don't like this trial much. It was the first time they did this, and I get it. It is a cool concept by instead of like one victim having 2 victims, and in this case actually the one victim killing the other victim, so that was interesting, that was fair, but I don't know. I think the entire, like, the investigation was stupid. With the way Celeste acted during all of that, it felt so suspicious, and it's like, I get that that's what they were trying to go for, but I thought she was supposed to be like a queen of liars, you know, but it didn't feel like that to me. You know, like, she immediately felt like there was something off about her. And you immediately knew, oh, well, it's likely that Celeste did it, but how do you prove it? And that was, like, the one thing with this trial that was really fun to figure out. And to figure out that Kiyotaka was actually killed by Ifumi, and that's, Ifumi was actually killed by Celeste. That was fun to figure out. But in the investigation, it was cool, though, to find out that the one person who was alive, when you first checked it, you move over to the other person, which is dead, and move back to Hifumi, and now figure out that he's dead. That was very hyped and made me very stoked, honestly. The trial was just very predictable, I thought. It was very predictable in a way. It made a lot of sense, which is, I guess, a good thing, but I don't know. I guess that's all I really wanted to talk about the trial. It's just, I don't know. I don't personally really like this trial all that much. Then it moves on to the motive. Celeste's motive was money. Hey. Like, pretty normal killer motive. Very boring, very uninteresting. It's just, I don't know. And the execution was also pretty, I don't know. I don't know, there's just so many things that I find so disappointing about this trial, where I think it could have been more if it was fleshed out better. But, if it was more fleshed out, I mean. But as it stands right now, I don't think this really deserves higher than a B tier, and low B tier at that. Moving on to the Mikan case. Should I do it? I mean, there's not that many other left, right? Yeah, I'm gonna put it in D tier. This trial's garbage. This entire case is so shit. It's not good. Absolutely not. So what I think this case lacks is a reason. I don't know. First of all, it doesn't really fit with the theme of the game, where a lot of the kills in this game are very, like, justifiable in a way. Sure, killing is never justifiable, but in this case, it, like, justifiable is the best way to describe most of these killings in this game. And Makan just felt so out of place. Like, I get it, she was taken over by, like, the despair virus or whatever, which made sense at the end of it, but killing 2 people just didn't make any sense here. Like, I think there was actually an inconsistency within the execution of the murder, but yeah, it was actually like, there was something happening on one of the screens in one of the places, and Mikan was at the entire other half of the island or something. There was no way she could have made it there in time. There was some inconsistency there. It was a very complicated, unnecessarily complicated murder. Like, they didn't need to kill 2 people there, and I get it. It was like something they did in DR1, but if you can't make it work, just don't do it. It's not that hard. If you can't make it work in this case or with these specific characters, don't do it. And that's really what it felt like to me. They were just doing it because it existed in DR1. Again, the investigation was just like walking from one place to another. Again, the same concept as with Celeste's case. The one person is suddenly dead while the other person is also suddenly dead. I don't know. It felt like a bit of a rehab of the original, which I think sucks. The trial itself, it was just Mikan going slowly crazy and her voice acting coming through. It was not bad. I actually kind of liked it, because I usually didn't super like Mikan's voice actor either, or voice actress. But during that, it was really good. It was actually really good. And it was interesting to see her, like, go insane like that. But I don't know. And then the motive, the motive was just to kill people. That was the entire motive. And the execution was stupid. One of the worst executions I think I've ever seen. Like, the most nonsensical one. It's like, why? What is the point of that execution? It wasn't even remotely related to the character I found. Like, what was the point of that execution? I don't know. It's just clear D tier for me. Correctio case. Why did I do these one after the other? I don't know. It's better than the Mikan case, though. I will say that. Because it's actually super interesting doing the entire seance and whatever. I'm gonna put it in D tier. I will put it below Leon, I think. Will I? Yeah. So, this case, I don't know. Again, one of those occasions, once again, where what is the point of killing 2 people? And we'll get to it when we get to the motive, which is absolutely retarded. So first of all, the entire concept is they found these rooms with candles in them, and one of them was to perform a seance so they could talk to Anji, which was killed. So during the investigation of Anji, they did the entire seance, which ended up killing Tenko. So, yeah, it was so obvious at that point, like, who the killer was. It was so obvious. And then the entire point with the seesaw trick during the trial, we don't even want to talk about that shit. But it's just, I don't know, it didn't make sense to kill 2 people, throwing way more sus at him, because he killed 2 people. Because it was literally the case, and I found this super interesting about the trial, just segueing to that, is that if Korekio decided to only kill Anji, right? He would have gotten away with it. He would have 100% got away with it. And that's really what makes it so wild to me, Like, if he just killed one person, he would have absolutely gotten away with it. And, I don't know. That's what makes this trial so stupid. That's really what it is. Yeah, during the trial, like, finding out, like, how both of the murders are linked to him, which doesn't matter. Like, first off, it was, like, clear that, okay, the seance murder, that was Korekio. And then Korekio was like, but how can you prove that I killed Anji? If you can't prove that, well, I won't be executed because I killed the person during the investigation. So, yeah. So stupid. It actually kind of had that hope that maybe Korekio wasn't actually the killer of Anji, and someone else killed Anji, and you just had Korekio walking around during the next few chapters or something. I thought that was super interesting, but then, never mind. So that leads us to the motive. The motive was trying to get friends for her or for his sister, which also happened to be an alter ego of him for some reason. Because we haven't done this enough yet. Oh my god, it's so bad. So that was the entire motive, just killing people because he wanted her to have more friends with her in like the grave or in the spiritual world, etc. So stupid. Easily one of the worst motives in the entire series. Like, even just killing people for fun would have been a good motive in this case. This is just stupid. So yeah, that happened. And then the execution was just weird. I don't know, I like the last part where it's like, you see his spirit even get killed, which I found was pretty funny. But yeah, that's really it. Now moving on to probably some of the best trials in Danganronpa, I would say. So the Sakura trial, this is pretty good. This is a really good trial. I will put it below Mondo, but I think it does deserve A tier. Yeah, Sakura case. This is a really, really solid case. It's a suicide case, which is the only one in the series, I think. Yeah, it was like a couple of times it was faked to be suicide cases, but this is like the actual only suicide case in the game, or in the entire series. Really good stuff. Like, just the entire like thing that led up to it with finding out that Sakura was actually serving under Monokuma in a way, and that she was apparently the quote-unquote traitor, while in reality she was just trying to help everyone within the school. So yeah, that was super sweet. And then finding out that no one really like gave a shit after it was found out that, hey, you're a bad person, fuck you now. And, I don't know, it was just super sad going through that. And then her deciding to kill herself because she needed to kill someone because Monokuma said so. And she decided to kill herself. So that was really interesting to figure out during the trial, and super cool motive as well. I know I'm kind of conjoining all of these points together, but you get the point. The investigation was really interesting. Yeah, really interesting, like finding out how it all happened. This locked room trick, etc. Good stuff. And then during the trial, like, Byakuya going fucking insane because he couldn't understand the concept of suicide. But also, like, the amount of blame that was, like, pushed around, you know? Because everyone got pretty much blamed during the entire thing, and it was finally figured out that Sakura actually just killed herself. I don't know, it was very weird. Very interesting, very cool. Yeah. It's just a very emotional trial as well, for Asahina, for instance. Yeah, very, very good. And then the, well, the motive I already mentioned, but the execution was the execution of Alter Ego, which was weird, but whatever. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, so how long have I been recording? Not that bad. Moving on to an S tier case. The fucking Gundam case, dude. The Funhouse, holy shit. What a trial. Amazing. Actually really good. Like, and I think what made this trial so extremely good is not only the motive, because the motive is phenomenal, by the way. It really makes a lot of sense when you start thinking about it, and you really start to appreciate Gundam's character after the fact. But the setup within the Funhouse and how it was all technically explained during the trial as well, super interesting, super confusing, but all in all makes a very, very fun case. And which is appropriate in the Funhouse. But yeah, I don't know, the investigation, oh my god, it's so complicated, and like going through the entire Funhouse, like finding out different shit, and how it could be premeditated, and how like Nekomaru was potentially killed. My god. So many like twists and turns within how the trial, how the Funhouse exactly worked. Holy shit. And then during the trial, like putting all the pieces together in that, and then also Nagito's part, but Nagito actually did the final death challenge, and did it with an actual Russian roulette, and finding out about Hope Speak, and finding out about all of the people within this world, and with Hajime, and that he's actually a reserve corps, etc., etc. That was all super interesting thrown in there. You see some more stuff about Nagito's character, which helps a lot during the next trial. And yeah, I don't know. Overall, very, very solid trial. And then the motive, oh boy. The motive was so that he could save everyone in the class. It was super cute. So amazing. Like, they had a fight with, he had a fight with Nekomaru and they were fighting to the death, but it was like, it was Gundam's way of basically trying to free everyone and actually eat. So yeah, I don't know, it was all in goodwill. Like, yeah, sure, he still killed Nekomaru in a way, but it was all like in goodwill, and it really made you appreciate like Gundam's character for what he is. So really, really good trial. And then the execution was just so sad. Oh my god, so sad. Like, just the entire end of that trial is just really sad. Probably one of the saddest trials in Danganronpa, if not the saddest. What a trial. So good. Might be my favorite trial in the game. Don't know yet. Then we have the Gonta case. This case was, again, super fun. Like, that's what most of these cases are. Super fun. That's rough. I kind of want to put it above Kaede's case, but I don't really want to give it S tier. Because I don't think it necessarily deserves to be S tier. Ooh, this is rough. I'll put it above Kaede for now. Yeah, I'll put it above Kaede for now, so high A tier. Very, very fun case. Within a digital world, which, I mean, it's pretty unique for Danganronpa. But what made this trial so extremely good is how sensical it was towards the player, but not towards the people within the world, or as in like towards the students, because they didn't get it, because they don't necessarily understand how a virtual world works and how it loops and all that stuff, all the technical stuff that we know, but they don't. And it's interesting to make them figure out how that shit works, and well, how the kill actually happened. So, first of all, the concept was Miyu was trying to kill Kokichi within the virtual world. But, yeah, because it was apparently figured out that you can kill someone in the virtual world and they will also be dead in real life. SAO. But, Kokichi caught on to that, so he made it so Gonta was going to strangle Miyu to death if Miyu did anything to Kokichi. Which basically shows Kokichi's part as being an evil mastermind and stuff like that. So while I'm putting it as Gonta's case, technically it might be considered Kokichi's case, but I think the next trial more suits the title of Kokichi's case. Yeah, just, I don't know, it was super sad to see Gonta not really understanding what the fuck he did, because he didn't know shit. No, it was like all simply because of the cables being loose, etc., all that stuff. So he didn't actually like bring over the memories from the virtual world over to the real world. So he didn't actually understand what he did. He didn't even know he'd killed someone, and it was just so sad. It really was. And then Kokichi just kind of brushing it off, like, yeah, Gonta, you're the killer. It was just, oh my god, it set such a character for Kokichi. And I think that's what made this trial perfect, in my opinion. The trial itself, one of the best. Absolutely, one of the best. Because you saw so many characters, like, developing and stuff like that. And you could see Kokichi shining through. Just, wow. Really, really cool. The kill wasn't super creative or anything, but it made sense. Yeah, it made a lot of sense to us. But I think it's more so the surrounding parts of it that make it such a good trial. The execution, or the motive, well, again, motive was pretty much non-existent. It was because Kokichi said so. And Gonta believed it. Sorry about that. And the execution was kind of strange. I don't know. I don't dislike it, but it's just kind of weird. But definitely a high A tier for me. I'm going to kind of go through these a little bit faster because I've been recording for how long? 40 minutes. Moving on to Mukuro's case. I don't know. I think I'm with a lot of people here in saying that I do not particularly like this case. I think this is a very weak case, and they didn't really do a whole lot with this. It just felt super out of place. It's also like probably one of the shortest trials within the entire series, I think. And it kind of continues on in the Junko case, so in episode 6 or chapter 6. I don't know. The only thing I liked about this case, in my opinion, here, I'm just going to put it in C tier. I still would. It was still interesting though. I'm gonna put it above. I'm gonna put it above Korekio's case. It's yeah, I don't know. It felt a bit unfinished, which it kind of is. The only cool part really about this, the investigation isn't like super interesting because no one, you don't know who killed him. The only person who knows is Monokuma. Like, we have no evidence to go off of on who exactly killed her. So yeah, I'm not gonna focus too much on the investigation. I'm gonna talk a bit about the trial and how like all the blame was put on Makoto or Kyoko, depending on which choice you made. You could either go towards the bad ending, which would kill Kyoko, or the good ending, which would kill Makoto, which he got saved at the end by Alter Ego, which is a cool moment, to be fair, but the trial itself, I don't know. The trial itself is so mediocre at best. I wouldn't really say it's a very well thought out trial, unfortunately. But I will put it in C tier, a little bit above Korekio. I don't know. There's not much to say about that case. The Nagito case, now this is a straight S tier. This case is phenomenal, so good. Like one of the best like suicide cases, but not actually a suicide case. Like it was pretty much like clear to everyone that Nagito just committed suicide because that made the most sense in this situation, while in reality that's not what he was going for. He was making it look as if he got killed by someone and actually killed, murdered and killed. What? that he got tortured by someone and actually killed afterwards. That's what it made it feel like because of how he fucking set everything up. It's still super impressive that he managed to do that without fucking anything up. But yeah, and then finding out that the actual reason he died is because of the poison that was in one of the fire canisters. Holy shit, it's insane. And I'm basically making it a Russian roulette on who actually killed Nagito, because everyone threw one, and then one of them was the poison. So whoever held the canister with the poison in it was the actual killer. Now it turned out to be Chiaki because of Nagito's luck. That part of the trial, amazing. It's so well done and fits so well with Nagito's character and what he stands for and stuff like that. And then later in chapter 6, or the plot dump, you find out what Nagito's actual reason was for killing all of us. And it wasn't just to kill the mastermind, no. It was instead to kill everyone else, because we were all ultimate despair. Stuff like that. But that gets explained in like the other trial. Chapter 6 trial. But yeah, the investigation, I don't know, it wasn't super... There was not a whole lot you could really investigate, unfortunately. So there wasn't any like twists or turns, whatever. It was just so fascinating to see like Nagito's like thought process to this, and man, how much he thought this through. So it's like the bitter end, literally. He thought everything through to the bitter end. And I'm just gonna move on to the motive. For the motive, I mean, you'll find that out in chapter 6. I mentioned it earlier. And the execution was of Chiaki. So Chiaki turns out to be the traitor or whatever, the part of the person from the Future Foundation that was sent to guide all of them within this virtual world. So yeah, like that was very interesting finding that out, and it made Chiaki a better character in my opinion. Yeah, it's overall really good, really solid trial. I'm not quite sure if I would put Nagito's case over Gundam, but I kind of like, now I'm like talking about it, I think I like Gundam's case more. I do. Oh well, we'll keep it like this for now. Kokichi's case, or chapter 5 case from V3. This is a phenomenal trial. I know maybe I'm gonna get flack for this, but I'm gonna put this also in S tier. I think this is an S tier trial. I would say it's better than Gonta's case, mainly because of the complicity of it. Um, yeah, just Kokichi's entire reasoning behind it, which you find out afterwards, which is actually kind of heartwarming in a way, kind of heartfelt. But yeah, like it was the old switcheroo. So both Kokichi and Kaito weren't present at the trial. So the first part of the trial was figuring out who killed who. So who was the actual killer and who was the victim, because you didn't know. Either or was alive, and it was trying to figure out if Kokichi was alive or Kaito was alive. And it was like leading towards Kokichi being alive because it made the most sense in the way he talked in the Exisal, etc. And then at the end it was figured out that Kaito was actually the one in the Exisal, and he basically took orders from Kokichi to perform this trial the way he wanted to. Yeah, man, like, holy shit. It was very impressive, because what he was trying to do with this motive, or yeah, and I'm gonna go over to the motive, he was trying to create a trial that even Monokuma couldn't solve, which is the case. It definitely worked. But it was a way to end the killing game, because the way this was going, it would have continued onward, on and on. That's basically what Kokichi concluded upon. So it was like, how can I beat the mastermind? And that's by creating a case that's just simply unsolvable. It's just not possible. And yeah, the investigation, trying to figure out who was killed by the hydraulic press. Holy shit. And you see Kaito's jacket on there. It's like, it makes it seem like Kaito is the one who died, but in reality it was Kokichi. Which is such a twist. It really is. It's such a big twist. The trial itself is just an entire twist as well. And then, yeah, the motive was actually really, really heartfelt. It was him trying to save everyone from doing this killing game longer. Yeah, I don't know. It was actually kind of interesting. You got to see a part of Kokichi's character that you hadn't seen before. You know what I mean? Because he'd always been lying, and that's what made it so good. You never truly understood who Kokichi was, but you felt like you knew him a little better after the fact. You know? So yeah, and then the execution, because Kaito was dying, he died before the execution could have ended. So that was kind of cool in a way, but it's also super sad. Very sad trial towards the end there. Yeah, really put a damper on the entire situation, so that sucked. But other than that, phenomenal trial, really good. Sorry. Now moving on to the plot dumps. I don't know how to rate these. It's so hard, because like they're not particularly amazing. It's just they're plot dumps. That's literally what they do. They're just there to show you the entire plot surrounding the Danganronpa series and not the specific trials. So, Junko trial or chapter 6. I would say this is the best one. Yeah, because it's like the first instance of you like getting some of the plot in and like actually understanding what the fuck is going on in the outside world. Yeah, this gets a B tier for me. I don't know, like low B tier. I would say it's better than like Becco's case for sure. It's like a little bit under average in my opinion. I don't know, it's not, there's not really an investigation. It's just trying to figure out the stuff that happened outside of Hope's Peak and finding out that Hope's Peak and like everyone around Hope's Peak is basically dead and turned into these like despair-loving zombies or whatever that Junko created. And you find all that shit out. It's despair. It's interesting, I'm not gonna lie, it's super interesting, but you get it after the one time. And that's why I'm going to put the other trials a little bit lower. But this is pretty solid, yeah. Junko dies at the end, which is always a plus. But then comes back in DR2, which is not great. So DR2 case, I don't know, man. I like the Hajime moment, you know, when he figures out he's Izuru and he goes through a bit of a depression. It adds some character to him, it sure does, and it is sure interesting, but my god, did this trial drag on a bit. It really did. Like, watching this trial again, it really drags on. I want to put it here. A little bit higher than Mukuro's case. I don't think it's worse than Mukuro's case. I don't know. It's the same shit. It's just more explanation on what the scenario is, finding out that you're in a virtual world, which you pretty much realize during the investigation, but this confirms it. And Hajime turning Super Saiyan, that was cool, but it didn't really add anything towards like the grander perspective of the game. My only issue. Now this is the most controversial trial to talk about, this Tsumugi case, or the final trial in V3. Now this, where do I place this? I can either make everyone super mad by putting it like in, I don't know, like high C tier or low B tier, or I can be smart and put it here. Yeah, I'm gonna put it here. So, I think I'm still gonna piss off a lot of people by doing that, but the reason why I'm putting it in D tier and I'm putting it above Mikan's case, it's not the worst case in the entire series, absolutely not. It's not the worst case in the entire series. I just realized something. I was like, Korekiyo's case really isn't that great. I was like, I think I would put it lower than Tsumugi's case, and if I consider Tsumugi's case a D tier, then I should consider Korekiyo also a D tier. So, I don't know. His case just falls flat on so many fronts. It's so cliche. It's such a cliche ending, you know what I mean? And I get it. I get, like, Kodaka was certainly done with Danganronpa, and he wanted to make that clear by making his trial and attacking, like, every other Danganronpa fan in the entire universe, so that was fun. Fuck you, Kodaka. No, don't actually. Not actually, fuck you. You can make another game if you want. I'll play it. But, I don't know, it's just, it falls flat on so many fronts. It's a fun trial at first, but later on you start to realize how many flaws this trial really has. And it has so many flaws. First of all, it starts off with like, explaining what really happened in the first trial, where Kaede was apparently not the killer, but instead, Tsumugi was the one who killed Rantaro, because Kaede's plan failed. So Kaede basically died for nothing. So that was the first part, which I found odd. I don't know, I found it a little bit odd. It is interesting to redo the first trial, because, I don't know. It was probably one of the most impactful trials in the entire game, hence why it's this high on the list. But yeah, I don't know. It's such a cliche ending, and that's really what makes me put it so extremely low. It's, I don't know. It's like, I get the concept of there's no hope or despair, we just want Danganronpa to end. I get it, but I don't know, it feels it's such a strange ending. Such a strange ending. So there are people who really, really like this ending. There are people who would defend this ending without a single issue. Absolutely. I'm not one of those people. I'll kick this trial into the ground if I need to. This is one of the first times in Danganronpa where I was legitimately mad at a trial. Now, later on, I started to realize, yeah, okay, it's kind of funny with the way they did it, but still, it's just, it's so frustrating playing through that trial for the very first time. It's so many fourth wall breaks. It's, my god, it's a bit too crazy in my opinion. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I think, because there's no other trial. I'm gonna see if I want to swap something. So first of all, S tier, Gundam Trial or Chapter 4, DR2, Nagato Trial, and the Kokichi Trial. I think this is fine. I think this is fine to be an S tier. I would consider these definitely a step above A tier. I think these are all way better. Not way better than Ganta's case, but like definitely a step above Ganta's case for sure. Even though this case is super fun, I watched it again on like a Let's Play, and I was like, I don't know, man. It does lack at some departments, even though I really like it. I'm actually gonna put it below Kaede's case, because Kaede's case is very solid. I don't think it deserves S tier because of how non-complicated it really is. But yeah, Mondo's case again, still really good case. Surprisingly, how it ends up this high. I'm actually kind of surprised how many DR1 cases are up here, because DR1 are like the worst cases, probably. So I'm kind of surprised to see that I put Mondo and Sakura on A tier. Those are really good trials, yeah. They deserve to be an A tier. I think this is fine. I think I would still put Mondo over Sakura. So yeah, this is good. Kirumi and Teruteru. Yeah, Kirumi is definitely the better trial. Teruteru, yeah. I still agree with that. Celeste after the fact, not a very good trial, but still a step above the other Chapter 3 trials. 2 steps, actually. The Junko trial, which is Chapter 6 plot dump, which is the only plot dump I actually kind of like. Whenever it comes to its, like, substance. And that's really the only reason why I'm putting these in, like, such low spots. It's because of its substance. They don't really add anything except for the overarching plot, which a lot of people don't care about. So, yeah, that's really why I'm rating him so low. Becco's case just has a lot of issues. It starts off really fun, really good, but when they put the game into it, and it's like, it starts to become a chaotic mess. That's why it's so low. And this is like the middle ground, Leon's case. Nothing wrong with it, but nothing particularly amazing. This is the Danganronpa 2 final plot dump. Yeah, I don't know. Falls flat, in my opinion. Mukuro's case is just super short and doesn't really add anything. I'm also tempted to put Mukuro's case lower. Should I? No, but I appreciate that twist though, with like Makoto being turned out to be the killer or whatever. Yeah, now I'm gonna keep it there. I think as an impact, it still works to be S tier, C tier. Tsumugi, definitely the best of these, for sure. Also plot dump, again falls flat. Korekio case is garbage. I started to realize that, hence why I put it from C tier down to D tier. What a garbage case. Again, the concept of why kill 2 people when you can only kill 1 and get away with it. I don't know. Mikan's case was just dumb. And very inconsistent. So, yeah, I agree with this list. So, if you guys have any opinions about this, you can leave them in the comments down below. You can make your own list. I'll probably leave the template in the description, so you can check that out and you can make your own. I stand by this. You can crucify me for it. I don't care. I think this is what I'm going to go with. So, I'm going to thank you guys so much for watching. This was a very, very long episode. In fact, it was almost an hour. So, yeah. And I'm going to end it off right here before it reaches an hour. So, that's good. So, yeah. Again, I'm going to thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't know what it's going to be. But definitely more tier maker videos. Not sure if it's going to be more Danganronpa, but definitely other kinds of subjects. So, yeah. Look forward to that. See you guys in the next one. Goodbye, dudes.